Chapter 28. A Dance with Shadows. Kevin stood in the moonlight shadow of the halfway house, his body no longer his own. The once vibrant cherry blossoms that had led him here now swirled around him, their petals dark and ominous. The whispers grew louder, resonating within his mind, as Shinigami, the entity that had taken control, reveled in its newfound power. Kevin's consciousness remained trapped within the recesses of his own mind, a mere observer to the unfolding events. He watched helplessly as Shinigami, wielding the crimson katana with ruthless precision, made its way through the necks of the hallway's house residents. Shinigami moved silently. The air seemed to grow heavier with an oppressive presence. The whispers transformed into eerie laughter, as if the darkness itself relished in the impending chaos. Kevin's heart ached with each life extinguished, his inner voice screaming in protest, but he remained powerless, a prisoner within his own body, forced to witness the atrocities committed by the entity that now controlled him. While the massacre continued, Shinigami's presence grew stronger, feeding off the fear and despair that permeated the atmosphere. It reveled in the chaos, embracing its role as an agent of destruction. Yet, amidst the horror, a glimmer of resistance flickered within Kevin's consciousness. He refused to relinquish himself entirely to the darkness. With every ounce of his will, he fought against the grip of Shinigami, struggling to regain control over his own body and destiny. Through sheer determination, Kevin managed to breach the barrier that separated him from his physical form. Slowly, he began to wrestle back control, bit by bit, inching closer to liberation. In a final surge of defiance, Kevin's consciousness collided with Shinigami's, sparking a fierce internal battle. Memories of his love for Mary, the joy they had shared, and the life they had built together surged forth, illuminating the darkness that threatened to consume him. Drawing upon the power of his love for Mary and his unwavering will, Kevin fought against the suffocating grip of Shinigami. With each blow, he chipped away at the darkness, weakening its hold over him. The battle raged on, both forces locked in a struggle for dominance. Sweat dripped down Kevin's brow as he exerted every ounce of his strength, refusing to succumb to the temptation of power and destruction. In a moment of clarity, Kevin's resolve solidified. He would not be defined by the darkness that had temporarily consumed him. With a final surge of energy, Kevin expelled Shinigami from his being, reclaiming control over his body. The crimson katana clattered to the ground. Breathing heavily, Kevin surveyed the aftermath of the carnage, his heart heavy with guilt and sorrow. The cherry blossoms, once symbols of beauty and tranquility, lay scattered on the ground, their essence tainted by the darkness that had unfolded. Kevin's heart raced as he hurriedly made his way back to his truck, mindful of avoiding any encounters with the police. The night air felt heavy with tension, and the weight of his recent actions bore down on him with every step. With a mix of relief, Kevin slipped into the driver's seat and started the engine. The engine's rumble seemed to drown out the turmoil within him, offering a temporary respite from the chaos that had unfolded. On the drive home, Kevin's mind raced, replaying the events at the halfway house over and over. The guilt and regret gnawed at him, threatening to consume his thoughts. He couldn't shake off the images of the innocent lives lost and the havoc wreaked by Shinigami's dark presence. Arriving back at his house, Kevin parked the truck and sat in silence for a moment, contemplating his next move. The weight of the truth hung heavily in the air, and he knew that he would have to face the consequences. Kevin reached for his phone and dialed Mary's number. The phone rang, each ring echoing in the empty space. After a few moments, Mary's voice filled the line, laced with concern, confusion, and sleepiness. "Kevin, is everything okay?" she asked, her voice tinged with worry. Taking a deep breath, Kevin's voice trembled slightly as he responded, "Mary, we need to talk. There are things I need to tell you. I've made some terrible mistakes." Sensing the urgency in his voice, Mary's concern deepened. "Kevin, what happened? Where are you? Are you in danger?" "I'm safe for now, but I need your support," Kevin replied, his voice filled with remorse. "I've been consumed by darkness, Mary. I lost control of myself, and people were hurt because of me." Mary listened in disbelief and stunned silence, her mind racing to comprehend the gravity of Kevin's words. She had sensed a change in him, but the extent of his confession left her reeling. With a voice filled with compassion, she responded, "Kevin, I don't understand everything right now, but I believe in you. We'll face this together. Now where are you?" "In my truck. I'll be in just a second." Shortly after entering their home, Mary gave him a hug and kiss before putting on a pot of coffee. Kevin poured his heart out to Mary. He held nothing back. He recounted the surreal experiences, the visions, and the battles that had consumed him over the past few months. He shared the struggle he had faced with the Crimson Katana and how it had seemingly taken control over him, leading him down a dark and dangerous path. With each word, Kevin's voice trembled with a mixture of fear, vulnerability, and a desperate need for understanding. He watched Mary's face closely, hoping to find a flicker of belief or empathy amidst the incredulity that he expected. Mary listened intently, her eyes widening with each revelation. It was an extraordinary tale, one that tested the boundaries of her own understanding of reality. Conflicting emotions played across her features: concern, confusion, and a hint of disbelief. Silence hung in the air for a moment as Mary absorbed the weight of Kevin's words. Then, with a calmness that surprised even Kevin, she reached out and gently took his hand. "Kevin," Mary said softly, her voice filled with compassion, "I can't say that I fully understand everything you've experienced. It's unlike anything I could have ever imagined. But I do know one thing. I love you, and I want to believe. I also know you are struggling greatly with this. I don't have all the answers," Mary continued, her voice steady. "But we can face this together. We'll find a way to navigate through the unknown and to seek help." Tears welled up in Kevin's eyes as he realized the significance of Mary's words. He hadn't expected Mary to understand everything, but her unwavering support and belief in him brought a glimmer of hope to his shattered world. "If this is true, then where is the sword?" Mary thought suddenly, beginning to grow very concerned about the location of the katana. "Is the katana in your truck?" Mary asked. With a look of shame, Kevin replied, "I dropped it on the ground and left." Mary's eyes widened at Kevin's revelation about the Crimson Katana. She knew that leaving such a powerful and potentially dangerous weapon unattended could have unforeseen consequences. Concern etched on her face. She grasped Kevin's hand tightly. "Kevin, we need to go back," Mary urged, her voice filled with urgency. "Leaving that katana behind, without proper handling or containment, could pose a risk to others. We have to ensure it's secured and safely dealt with." Kevin nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Together, they made the decision to return to the halfway house and retrieve the Crimson Katana. They knew they couldn't ignore the potential danger it posed, both to themselves and to anyone who might come across it. Under the cover of darkness, Kevin and Mary arrived back at the halfway house. The air was heavy with anticipation as they approached the spot where Kevin believed he had dropped the katana. Their hearts pounded in their chests, the weight of the unknown pressing upon them. Reaching the designated area, Kevin's eyes scanned the surroundings, searching for any sign of the katana. To their surprise, it was no longer there. The ground was empty, devoid of the powerful weapon that had once held such sway over Kevin. Mary's concerns for Kevin's well-being intensified as she observed the unexplainable changes in his condition. She couldn't shake off the nagging worry that perhaps the katana and the visions associated with it had taken a toll on Kevin's mind. As a nurse, she was trained to approach situations from a medical perspective, and she felt compelled to seek answers and potential solutions. Mary convinced Kevin to accompany her to the hospital for further evaluation. She explained to the doctor about Kevin's recent experiences, emphasizing the lucid visions he had been having and the potential correlation with the dark spot on his brain scans, all the while keeping the details of his visions between her and Kevin. The medical team conducted a series of tests, including a new CT scan, to assess any changes in the mysterious dark area. The results left everyone surprised. The dark spot had not only decreased in size, but it had shrunk significantly since the last scan, reducing from the size of a baseball to that of a marble in just 2 weeks. The doctors were puzzled by this unexpected development. The initial concern had been the progression and potential implications of the dark area, but its regression defied their understanding. They ran additional tests, searching for any signs of abnormalities or underlying causes for this unexplained phenomenon. As Kevin and Mary anxiously awaited the results, they held on to a glimmer of hope. The possibility that the visions and the crimson katana were somehow linked to the changes in Kevin's brain provided a sliver of optimism. Could it be that confronting and facing the darkness head-on had sparked a healing process within him? Hours passed, filled with uncertainty. Finally, the doctors approached Kevin and Mary with their findings. Okay, great news. It turns out that the dark spot was not a sign of a progressive illness or a malignancy, but rather a localized inflammation that has mysteriously begun to subside. We are going to put you on some antibiotics and observation for a few days. See if we can eliminate this issue. Mary, can I speak with you for a minute? Dr. Ray asked. He and Mary stepped out of the room before Mary asked, A localized inflammation? That would have been checked for right off the bat. He would have also had other signs such as... Dr. Ray raised his hand, motioning for her to wait. That is why I asked you out here. I know that diagnosis is bullshit, but it's the best bullshit we have to explain this situation. We're going to use the antibiotic. It isn't going to hurt. Best case scenario, it continues to go away until it gets smaller. Fine. Well, it won't be the first time this route has been taken. Just make sure he doesn't end up like Mrs. Richardson last week, Mary said with a grim look on her face. She went fast after I plugged in her new bag of medication. At least they fired the pharmacy tech that screwed those labels up. Yeah, I'll make sure it's someone that has been here a while pulling the meds. Well, let's get started and hope for the good news to keep on coming. While the medical professionals couldn't definitively explain the connection between Kevin's visions and the regression of the inflammation, they surmised that the mind's intricate and complex interplay with the body might have played a role in this unanticipated healing. Relief washed over Kevin and Mary as if a weight had been lifted off their shoulders. It was a bittersweet realization that even though they may never fully comprehend the events they had experienced, Kevin's health was improving,